Alright, back to the sewing machine. I'm about to narrow hem these short ends of the tails. So I told you guys last time my cat plays with this roll of socks. Well, she was doing it. Get it, Turk! Get it, Turkey! Get it! Get it! Come on, get it! Yeah, get it! I wasn't lying. Okay, back to this. So you restore what's in that. This arm started. Do it again. There we go. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is trim off this part here. So now it's flush. And then when I go to narrow hem this end, oh no, it's gonna be the same thing. Oh God, how do I get around that? Huh. I'm really lost. Oh well, that didn't work out. I'm sure y'all were thinking that the whole time, but I'll figure something out. Okay, the next step is kind of goofy because you've only, here, I'll show you here. We did this, that was the binding on one half of the neck edge, under stitching, shoulder seams. Now we are, how do you say? Okay, so there's the front with the binding. You're gonna basically double roll that, and then once you transition to the backs, this is that long edge that goes to the tie, you're gonna narrow hem that, and it'll just all blend together, even though there's only bias on one half. So I'll try to show you that at the machine. So first, what I like to do is, so this is the front with that bias piece we made right there. First, what I like to do is trim off the excess of the neck edge, the original one, just so it's easier to wrap the bias around. So I have these little scissors here, I love these. So I've trimmed that a little bit, and now it'll be easier to wrap this around it, and this will be the inside. And then that'll just blend in. Here's the shoulder seam. That'll just blend into a narrow hem for the back pieces. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so now I think what I'll do is I'll start at the tail. Nope, I need to iron it first. One sec. Okay, I'm back and I have creased this edge that I'm going to narrow hem. So this is going to be a long stitch. And I can already see my bobbin thread is about to run out, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. Okay. Get one side started. Stick it in there. Needle down. Reverse. Okay. And we are set. Go slow at first to get over all this. Yeah, it's having some trouble, just a little. There we go. So slow at first to get over that bump, and now I can zip along. Okay, I've tried to zoom in more to show you. I ran out of my bobbin thread at a perfect time, actually, right before we get to the shoulder seam where we get to the binding and stuff, and that's what I wanted to show you. So I went ahead and reset. Okay, so let me get back where I was. Oh, this is so shaky, that sucks. Is that better? We'll try that. Okay, needle down, back a little. Okay, good to go. So let me get up to the shoulder seam area. Yeah, it looks like you're shaking less over here. All right, good. Okay, a little bit more. Can't really see what I'm doing, huh? Just keep in mind, I don't have a tripod. That's on my list of things to do maybe if I keep doing videos. I don't know, but I'm doing the best I can. Let me see if I can. Okay. Focus. Come on. Okay, we'll try that. So here's the shoulder seam right here. And it's basically kind of the same action as what you've been doing for the narrow hem. It's just going to look a little bit different. See, here's the part we trimmed right here. So this is the front neck edge that we trimmed. Here's the bias right here. And it's literally the same action. You just fold this over, but instead of meeting a crease like you were on the narrow hem, you're meeting with your, what is that? Seam line. And then you just roll over again. And they end up being the same dimensions and they'll line up perfectly. So, I wish I could hold you right here, but I can't. So again, we're gonna open the shoulder seam flat, and then you just roll and roll. And you're gonna have to work a little bit to tuck all that in. And then eventually, your understitching you did will be on the inside where it's supposed to be. And that edge of the bias binding will be tucked under too. Okay, I'm gonna keep going all the way to the other tail. Okay, look at that pretty neck edge right there. That's the binding. Got a little bulky there, but again, my brand new machine, it could handle it just fine. I love this thing. Okay, the next step is to sew at the side seams, but on the right side you have to leave it open between the two dots. I didn't transfer my dots, so what I'm going to do is identify the right side, which is this side, because this is the front, right? So I'm going to lay the pattern and I traced this, by the way. I didn't cut it out. I don't know. I like to prevent that if I can. Keep it more intact. Anyway, eventually I'll get this laid out like as it was cut. Aligning the raw edge is obviously not that because it's already sewed, so you can't match it. But then all I'm going to do is put a pin at the side seam where each dot is, and then I'll know that's in between the two is where not to sew. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so I found the two dots, and I just realized I hadn't used my pins up until this point. That's pretty impressive for me, because usually I have to. I'm going to credit the Juki, not me. So anyway, 5/8 inch seam. This is just the right side. Sew here, stop, backstitch, and I'm going to backstitch a couple times because this is where the hole is going to be to wrap the tie in. So it might get a lot of stress in that area, so I'm going to back tack a few times. Same here, back tack a few times, go off. Okay, let's do this. This is gonna be hard to see, but I'm trying it on right now at this point before I put the sleeves on and finish the bottom hem to see if my blending between the extra small at the top to the small at the bottom worked, and it worked great. It's fitting much better on the top. Here, much better at the top. I'm having to hold to squat here. There's like the tiniest bit of something going on here, but it's not enough to bother me, so I'm fine. If anything, I wish it was a little longer, but I'm very happy, so I'm going to keep going. Okay, the next step is to top stitch a little box around that hole where you pull the strap through. Again, that's just for reinforcing the area because it's prone to stress. So let me go do that real quick and I'll meet you back. Well, the battery died again. It lasts approximately like 5 minutes, but I think if I recall where we left off, I was top stitching the hole where the tie wraps through, which is right there. And the next step is to narrow hem the whole bottom, tail to tail. So while I was waiting for the camera to charge, I went ahead and pressed that. So I'm going to do all that right now. See, this is what I was talking about here. If I do the narrow hem as described, I've got all that now. I don't know what to do. I'm going to try... I'm scared. Because like this side worked because the long edge was folded this way, so if somehow I make this fold that way, oh god, I'm scared. Hold on. Okay, I'm trying something and I'm scared. So now if I fold that and then fold that, oh okay. But that's raw now. I could serge it. I don't know. This is silly. This is what I was talking about, how I feel like the pattern didn't think this through. Let me serge it real quick. Okay. I just serged it, so I'm gonna tuck this in. And then okay, tuck that in. And then fold once. Fold twice. That's gonna have to do. Okay. This is going to be hard to start just because we're at the end like that. So I'm going to go very slow. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Going to get my, what is this called? No, that's too sharp. I'm going to pierce it. What I would typically or technically need is a stiletto, but I don't own one. So hold on, I'm just going to use a pen, not with the ink out. Okay. So I'm just kind of pushing it. There we go, getting it along. Okay, back stitch. And then I'm going to keep trucking along. Okay, so let's take a look. It's messy, but it'll do. Ugh, I don't like that. Do you see what I mean? Right here? That just looks messy. Like, why didn't they think about that? I don't know. I need to tack this down more too. Okay, I'm literally just gonna continue around the whole thing. All right, the next few parts I'm worried about. It's the sleeves. This is actually my first time doing it because if you recall, my mock-up was the sleeveless version. So from this point on, you're about as clueless as me. So let's see, I'm doing this view. It wants me to ease the top of the sleeve between notches. Okay, so basically we're doing gathering stitches 1/4 inch inside. Wait, what? Stitch along seam line and 1/4 inch inside the seam line. Okay. Using a long machine stitch. Okay, I'm gonna put my stitch length as high as I can get, which is 5. I'm gonna pull some extra tail. Okay. So I got a long tail there. I think I'm gonna stitch just inside the seam line. Wait. Hold on, is the seam line the regular 5/8 of an inch? Yes, okay. So I think I'm gonna stitch just inside of 5/8 of an inch because I don't want it to show after the fact when I'm done. In theory it shouldn't because you'd be stitching right on top of your seam line, but just to make sure. Oh, between notches. Okay, so my notches are here. Down, no back stitching. Wait, let's check. Nope, I did it wrong. I don't know how I did that. Come out. Come out. Okay, try that again. Okay, where's my notches? Right there. Okay, right there. I want it to be just under. So like right about there. Okay, so down, presser foot. And because I'm paranoid, double check. Yes, that's just under. Okay, here we go. Oh, oh, that got ahead of me. Don't be afraid to use your presser foot as a tool. So as I'm going around the curve here, it's kind of difficult. It's frankly difficult to go around the curve without lifting the presser foot a little bit because there's pressure pushing down on the fabric, so it's kind of hard to twist it around. If you've got it up, it's free to rotate, so don't be afraid to lift up if you need to. Where's my other notch? Down here. Okay, almost done. Okay. And I'm not going to cut the thread. I'm going to pull it long. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat that a little bit on the inside of that. Oh, almost lost you. Okay, so we have 2 long lines of basting stitches, and the idea is to pull on these. I'm not very good at it. There we go, and start gathering your sleeve head to kind of curl it into shape. Okay, so I went ahead and finished the rest of the basting on the other sleeve as well, and then I did the underarm seams, and here's an example of one of them. So here's the sleeve. I actually trimmed down the seam allowance a little bit with my serger on this guy because I figure it's going to be right under my arm. Might be itchy if it's real bulky, so I trimmed it down. And then I tried my best, I'm not good at this part, to gather the sleeve and set it in this hole. So if you've never done this before, the idea is basically the circumference of this right now, laying flat, is larger than the circumference of the armhole. So to compensate for that and make them attach flush, you have to gather the sleeve head and make it shrink in circumference essentially, which is what the basting stitches will be for. And then that's how the circumferences match, and then you can attach them together. So I'm gonna give that a go. Okay, now is the part where I turn it inside out to see if I did a good job. Oh man, I got one tiny pleat. It's not enough to bother me. Everything else looks good. The underarm seam matches. There's that tiny pleat. Yep, that's not enough to bother me. Yay, okay. I'm gonna do the other one. I wanted to show you guys a tip for sewing the sleeves. So this is the inside of the bodice. The gathered sleeve head is under. And this at least helps for me. I don't know, there might be other techniques out there, but the reason I like orienting it this way is because, how do I explain this? When I sew this, I actually pick, instead of having this flat, I pick it up and curve it with my hand, and you can kind of see underneath what that's doing. So there's the gathers, right? And it's kind of just spreading them out ever so slightly so we can ensure that it's flat, which sounds like the opposite of what we're trying to do, but I have it pinned everywhere after it was gathered, so it's not going to move around too much. But in doing this action right here, it'll like splay this gathered sleeve a little bit so that we can try to prevent puckering. I don't know if that makes sense, but it helps me a little bit. Okay, I got both sleeves on. Tried it on, it looks really cute, and I tried it on because I wanted to get a sense of how much to hem the sleeves. They are already pretty dang short, so I'm going to stick to like maybe ½ an inch. How much is that? ½ an inch. Yeah. I'm going to press up ½ an inch and then as close to the raw edge as possible, do a straight stitch around the whole thing. There we go. One sleeve. It's all done. It came out really cute, I think. And I'm usually not one for doing mock-ups, but I think it was totally worth it this time because I got to do the fitting things that I talked about, and it fits much better on the top, on the back as well. And since it's a stretchy fabric, I don't feel constricted, I can move. And then, what else? And doing the mock-up also allowed me to A, have practice, and B, figure out what I was going to do about this thing. And I think trimming off the edges like I did and serging them really helped. Thanks for joining me on this journey. I'm going to do, where's my pattern? Hold on. This pattern next, in my next video, it is N6643. And I'm going to do this view here, the cropped, in that peachy coral denim I showed you guys at the beginning. So that's going to be next in the next video. And that's pretty much it. Bye.